Hello and welcome, I'm Tafara Gadamu. Starting with Addis Ababa, many cities and towns across the country are undergoing the Integrated Corridor Development Project. But what is this project really about? What has it achieved? And what are the critics saying? To help explore these questions, my guest today is Yetimegeta Asrat, State Minister of Urban and Infrastructure. Very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Tafara. Thank you for having me.
So, this is a very ambitious project, corridor development project, that started in Addis Ababa and spread to a number of cities across the country. We know that it is grand, it's big, but we need to know why it was necessary to start this in the first place.
Thank you very much. Let me start from the most obvious one, because when we talk about, actually we call it the Integrated Corridor Development Project. That integrated word is very important. So the obvious aspect of it is it's about infrastructure development. I mean, that's what you see, immediately. So when we talk about a corridor development program, we are practically talking about infrastructure development, which basically starts from road infrastructure. So in it, we have the widening of the roads, the provision of additional facilities like bike lanes, walking lanes for pedestrians. You have roadside amenities, including public places, plazas, greeneries, and other facilities as well. So the immediate thing you see from it is about infrastructure. It's about urban development, at the top of it. But beyond...
A lot different from building roads the way you were doing for 20 years at the Ethiopian Roads Authority.
Yes, this one is totally different, in terms of many things. That's what I wanted to make. Beyond the infrastructure development, if you see it, there is a lot beyond infrastructure development. That is what I call, the less obvious one, for most people. If you see the corridor development program, what you have in the project is you have our ideas embodied in it. You have our philosophies of development in it, because when we talk about the widening of the roads, literally we are talking about this broad-minded development approach. So when we bring the pedestrians, the cyclists, if you see, these days the roads are very comfortable for disabled. Those amenities we have on the roadside, they are very convenient for, senior citizens. So you can see how inclusive the development is. So beyond the infrastructure, you have, that idea of, development philosophy we are trying to promote as a government in it. So it's good to see, that aspect of the project.
So we're trying to explore that aspect of the project. So now you have plenty of projects running parallel, right?
Yes.
You are expanding the roads. You are adding various facilities, including parks and so on and so forth. So do you have a master plan? Have you designed a master plan before you started working on this?
Yes. We have.
Or is it something that you develop when you keep on working?
It's evolving in a way. As a concept as well. The first phase of the project, which was implemented in Addis. Then you have the second phase. Now we have, this initiative being implemented in many cities or towns in the country. 60 plus towns are already implementing this project. So when you see the implementation, there is an evolving nature of it. In terms of be it the way we implement the project, in terms of the different components we include. So it is kind of, we are learning from what we implement and we are trying to improve. So there is a broad kind of framework for the implementation at a national level, which governs the implementation of the project. But we also take lessons from the previous implementation and we will try to improve that in subsequent phases.
Let's talk about Addis. Addis had a master plan, right?
Yes.
How does your project fit into that master plan? Or is it a totally different story?
No, it's not a totally different story because at the center of the master plan of Addis, what do we have? I mean, the vision of Addis, I mean, the city administration, if you see, it's ultimately about making the city beautiful, as its name, I mean, stands, to make it comfortable for, I mean, the Addis people who are living in Addis, so that, I mean, that is at the center of, I mean, the master plan, so that we will have a livable city, we have a smart city, and all those things are part of the master plan. And the corridor development is, I mean, ultimately realizing or implementing that on the ground.
Yes, it is, but wasn't it necessary in the first place? Wasn't it necessary for you to revise the master plan first before embarking on the integrated corridor development project?
No, as part of the master plan, there are different, I mean, components. One is, for instance, the road development plan of the city. It's already, I mean, in that plan. But now what we are trying to do is to a little bit scale up that, I mean, in terms of the way we implement it and, I mean, the quality, the standard of, I mean, the road. I mean, we have that plan already, I mean, in our master plan, in the 10 years plan as well. But now, considering the current thinking we have, the current philosophy of development we have as a government, we try to a little bit scale up that one so that it reflects our current thinking and philosophy.
Scaling up meaning adding something new.
Exactly. Because, I mean, if you are talking about...
But remaining true to the spirit of the master plan.
Exactly.
So it wasn't necessary to revisit the master plan at all.
Yes.
We see it, we live in it, we drive, walk in Addis, and we feel it, particularly in some key parts of town. So can you visualize for me what it is that you've brought in the last 2 years?
No, I mean, for us...
I mean, I know it's very difficult, but...
Yes. No. For us, I mean, because we are living it, I mean, we are witnessing it every day. You can see how Addis is practically transforming, you know. I mean, with, as I said, the corridor development program, it seems kind of a road development or infrastructure development program, but practically it's kind of reconstructing the city itself. Because as part of the corridor development, we have seen buildings being refurbished, I mean, being renewed. Not only even refurbished, they are also being repurposed so that, I mean, those things will stimulate the economic activity of the city. So now Addis, if you see, Addis is a very vibrant city, I mean, representing that thinking. So, I mean, it's practically reconstructing the city, as I said, because as part of the corridor development, you have all those things. I mean, increasing the greenery of the city. Addis is becoming very green, very clean, very vibrant, yes, during, daytime, during nighttime. You see all that transformation of the city. So practically it is representing what we call, as a country level, we have, the national vision, yes, of becoming an African beacon of prosperity. So Addis is becoming the symbol of that, yes, and it's becoming a model for even other African countries as well, in terms of implementing such a program.
So I see what you mean, but you're talking about certain quarters of town that have seen this. Are you trying to expand this into the other parts of town anytime soon, or is it going to be off?
Of course. This will be a continue. We are still very far from what we want to achieve, be it as a city or, at national level. And you know, how this program was started. We started at a small scale, but, expanding gradually. So phase 2 is more broader than phase 1. Definitely this will continue for years to come, not only in Addis, but also in other towns in the country. So at the end of the day, it will be kind of national issue, national initiative, where we have, as I said, these comfortable, livable cities which can represent, what we aspire for this nation.
So, as you said, this is also being undertaken in 60-plus towns across the country.
Yes.
How do you choose those cities, those towns?
No, it's not it's not us who choose the cities.
But there is someone who owns the whole project.
No. As a Ministry of Urban and Infrastructure, at national level, we facilitate, we coordinate the implementation of the program. But at the end of the day, for the cities, for the towns, it will be, up to them, to decide, the scope of the project, the extent of, the project, and ultimately the number of towns to be included in the program, because they implement the program with their own resource. So they know the resource they have. So it will be up to them to decide which cities or which towns to include in the first phase, in the second phase, and in the subsequent phase. So
you give the advice?
Yes, we give them the advice. We give them technical support as well. And at national level, for instance, we try to kind of summarize or customize the best practice we have, both in Addis and elsewhere, and share that to other towns in the country so that they will learn from that.
So how about the priority thing? How about if some regions or some towns say, well, this is not my priority, I have to address some other issues before I move forward to developing the infrastructure in my town? What do you say to those?
In principle, that will be up to them. But what do you see practically on the ground? Because they see that, how powerful this concept is. Because practically, even if we are talking about the infrastructure, there are lots of things in it. Because when we implement those projects, practically we are talking about job creation as well. The youth is getting employment opportunity. The cities, the towns are becoming very vibrant because it is stimulating the economic activity in those cities as well. And because of that, their revenue generation capacity is also improving. So they know the benefit of the initiative, the project. So there is no imposition from the center. They will decide it by themselves. But any layman can see how powerful this initiative is, and that's how they are implementing the project.
Who owns this project? Like, for example, the city administrations, like in Addis Ababa, basically owns the whole project, right? Yes. But you're also involved. How? And also, of course, the Prime Minister himself is given his due attention to all this. Yes. So I'm just wondering to locate where.
Very interesting, Tafara, because there are so many questions when it comes to this kind of initiative. This is a national initiative. The starting point of the initiative is an idea. Yes, that idea came from our Prime Minister. And that is shared by, respective, be it, city administrations or towns or whatever. But the owners of the project, the initiative, at the end of the day, are the city administrations. If it is in Addis, then the Addis Ababa city administration is the owner of the project. The same thing holds true for all cities, all towns. So at regional level, the regional government will be the owner, to lead, to coordinate the project. But they are, the owners. But for that, we need to have kind of national framework, because at the end of the day, we are one nation. So when we implement such a program, such an initiative, it should be somehow coordinated. We need to have some common framework to implement such a program. And in that, our ministry steps in and comes in and try to design such a framework to share to all regions so that we will have, for instance, at the end of the day, we need a standard. What is the standard of roads to be constructed in urban centers, in cities, based on the status of the city, the urban, or the town? For that, our ministry took the initiative and we developed that standard. So now we have a national standard about the width of the road, the width of the walking
of any given town.
Any given town.
So you play the advisory role.
Yes, we play that role. So the owners of the project, the respective towns, the respective regions or city administrations, but we have a national kind of framework to implement that. And one very important aspect of this project, this initiative, is the way we implemented the project.
And how is that?
Yes. In the conventional way of project implementation, if you see, myself, I was in Tobiaro's administration for a very long period of time. ERA, owns the project and implements the project by itself. One of the fundamental challenges we have in project implementation is bringing all relevant partners, or what you call stakeholders, on board and implementing the project in a coordinated manner. That is a very difficult thing. In the corridor development initiative, that's what you see. All relevant stakeholders, parties, they come together, they work together for common purpose, for achieving the project. And that's very important. And it's owned by the leadership. If you see in Addis, the leadership of the city administration, 24/7 they are following the project, the implementation of the project, and they have, different lots to follow up. So the involvement of the leadership in terms of project follow-up is very huge, and that's making, the difference as well.
So this is a multi-million-dollar project. I don't think you can keep on channeling money to this project day in, day out. You're going to stop at some point in time. Do you envisage that?
No. Honestly speaking, not Afara. Why I'm saying this is because it goes with the development of the cities and the nation as well. Because this is in it. In the corridor development project, we have the dignity of people as well. Yes. That's something which we deserve as a nation, as citizens of this country. So when we grow, when the economy grows, the demand, even increases. I don't expect it to, to be low. Yes. So, yes, it requires a huge investment. And one very interesting aspect of the project is the financing modality as well. Yes, there is what you call the conventional way of project financing is government finance. Then we have what you call innovative version of that,
which is
public-private partnership. But if you see the corridor development initiative, it is even beyond that, because you have the public-private community partnership. The community is also part of it. If you go to the towns, to the regions, the community contributes to the development of the projects in many ways. So the community itself has stake in the development of those projects. So it's kind of public-private community partnership.
You've raised a very interesting point, actually, too. One, you say dignity. You mean you want to provide clean air.
Yes.
You want to provide standard services to your residents in town, and so on and so forth. I see what you mean. But you also mentioned this thing, community, is a very important thing. And one of the things that you're accused of is displacing people en masse. Do you share that concern?
We need to see it in balance. From the very beginning, this is an infrastructure development project. Any development project, it will have its own, pros and cons, definitely. It's not something which we will avoid. But we need to see the bigger picture. So, what is our development philosophy? What is the idea behind this initiative? That's very important. The idea, the philosophy behind this initiative is, as I said, these people, most of the people, they were, if you see the city, most of the places were slum areas. People were living in shanty houses, which really, that's not what our citizens deserve. And that's what we want to change. Yes, practically that's what we're trying to change. And because of that, because as I said, we are literally reconstructing the city. Yes, in that case, it's unavoidable to relocate some people. The most important point will be, what are we really doing to reduce or to minimize any possible adverse impact on the community? And for that, we have different initiatives, because as part of the corridor development project, we are also developing, houses. There is a housing development initiative as well. Constructing thousands of houses. For what? To provide for people who are, being relocated from these places. The very good example of this will be, the village we have, relocation site we have in Galangura. I don't know whether you have the chance to see.
I've heard about this, yeah.
It's an amazing thing, because people who are living in those places, in Kazanchis area, if you see now, they are living in this relocation site.
But people say this is a drop in the ocean. What do you say to them?
No. What do you need? When you relocate people, the first thing we need to do is to consult them ahead of time. We, as a government, we have been doing that. The second thing, we need to pay them the proper compensation. I'm sure you have heard about the amount of money which was paid as a compensation, probably 20 plus billion Ethiopian birr. Why? Because the principle is people should be better off in any way, in any manner, when they are relocated from one place to another place. That's the principle. And starting from the legal framework, we have a very clear principle on that. But that said, I'm not saying that, there are not, incidents or cases where, there are gaps. We as a government, we accept that. And we are also learning from the process as well, by the way. Yes, because this is a new initiative in a country. And as you said, it's a massive program. So definitely there might be gaps here and there. But as a government, we are very clear kind of stand, and we don't have the slightest of doubt in terms of protecting the rights of our people. And that's what we are trying to do.
Interesting. So, the reason I raise that issue is because some people think that, and they consider themselves serious people, think that you have not sufficiently considered the social factor when you embarked on this project. In other words, there is a dislocation you have been talking about, and you've explained. And there is also, some say that Addis Ababa history is being destroyed. Some of the landmark historical buildings are no more. And people's social needs are not addressed. This is something that comes because of dislocation. And the social fabric of the communities that we're living in this project sites are basically brought to zero. What do you say to that? And unfortunately, this has also reached international human rights organizations like Amnesty International. That seems to echo basically those issues, those concerns. What do you say to that?
No, from all the things, I think it will be very difficult to accuse this government on that ground. I take it as a mischaracterization of the fact on the ground, really. Because what we are trying to do by implementing such projects, rather than increasing the divides we have, be it in the society or in the community, we are constructing bridges, yes, which can connect not only even communities, even generations as well. You raised about the issue of this historical and the cultural aspect of it. Honestly speaking, if you see, what the government has been doing in all parts of the country, the respective authority on these cultural and historical sites, they have active involvement in that. So everything we do is with their approval as well. So rather than distracting those kinds of historical sites, rather we are restoring them. We are improving the current kind of situation, because if you see, what we have done in as a government in Gonda, the facilities, it's practically bridging different generations as well. The same thing what we did in Addis, in terms of restoring those historical sites. It's very difficult to blame the government in that aspect. And we are also, adding on that, so bridging both the past to the present and the future. And actually, that is one of the central concepts of the Corridor Development Initiative, to bridge the past to the present and to the future as well, connecting generations, because we take something good from the past, we serve the current community, the current population, by providing those important and very good quality infrastructure facilities. And we are also considering the future as well, because when it comes to the green initiative we have in the country, the greeneries, all those open spaces, public parks, it's not only about the present, it's also about the future. So that's how we are trying to see the development initiatives in the country.
Yetimegeta Asrat, it was a pleasure having you on my show, and thank you for joining me to talk about this important issue.
Thank you for having me as well. Thank you so much.